Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is the Buzzword Breakdown brought to you by AdTaxi. We are going to do 2 webinars each month breaking down common buzzwords in the marketing and digital advertising industry. So today we'd like to go through 2019 trends marketers should pay attention to. A lot of these trends will have buzzwords that we will break down in the coming months. So stay tuned for those. Check out our website at adtaxi.com. Click the events at the top bar, and you can see our upcoming in-person events as well as these free webinars that we will have, again, twice a month to break down different industry buzzwords. Without further ado, we'll get started today. A few housekeeping bits. We won't take any Q&A today, but please do ask any sort of questions you have through the GoToWebinar questions panel, and we will definitely follow up with an answer to your questions via email after the webinar. So feel free to chat us or contact us through the GoToWebinar panel on the questions tab. Today's team, I am Kenzie Daner, Director of Sales Development here at AdTaxi. I've developed teams across 5 countries over the last 9 years and recently became a new mommy, and I'm loving it. Today here with me, I've got colleague Bob Batchelor, also at AdTaxi. He's the Director of Customer Experience. He jokes that he's old, but we think he still has a lot of spunk in him. He's been in digital, since before Facebook launched. So, and then also Maria Coleman, who I've had the pleasure of working with for the past 6 years at AdTaxi. She is our marketing content manager and a Buckeye fanatic. So any OH fans out there, chat with Maria. So today, 2019 trends marketers should pay attention to. We'll also give you some practical tips and tricks on how you can apply these trends to your business. So definitely have a pen handy, jot these down. We will record this webinar as well, so you will get that afterwards as a recording. So 2019 trends, voice search. I know I personally use it, as do some others. Connected TV, also known as CTV. Chatbots, those have been around for a while, but we're actually seeing a lot of improvements in chatbots. We want to cover that. Native advertising and personalization. So these are all trends that we really felt you guys could apply in 2019. So these are trends to watch out for, but also that you can take advantage of. So not just predictions that are far off, not obtainable, but you can actually look at today. So let's get started with voice search. I know in my household we have both Alexa and Google Home. My husband could not pick between the two, so we have been confusing ourselves for the last year or so. I will say that I love using it. I use it for my morning news, to ask what the weather is, random questions while my hands are dirty and I'm cooking. I love using it for music as well, even a noise machine in my daughter's nursery now. So I'm an avid user of voice search. How about you two?
I've certainly grown. My kid uses it every day. We have Alexa, and he's always asking what the weather is. I don't really know why, because he's still going to wear shorts regardless if it's 20 degrees or 80 degrees, but he asks.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So really, hey Alexa, right? So what is voice search? So 1 in 6 Americans now have a smart speaker, which is incredible. That has increased a ton. It's really dominated by 3 market players. We mentioned here Alexa, so that's Amazon's voice search, or Hey Google, so Google's, and then also, of course, Apple has come out with one recently. But it's expanding. And then we use it for all different reasons. Maybe to ask the weather, as Bob mentioned, streaming, even shopping, so you can ask Alexa to buy something you ordered on Amazon recently. Maria, what are you seeing with voice search these days?
Yeah, so it's obviously made a lot of improvements, and it is more commonly used than it has been before. Some interesting information I saw was by 2020, experts predict 50% of all searches will be voice searches. That's not all going to be through necessarily a smart speaker, but it's definitely going to be a majority of it, or it's going to have a big chunk of that market, which is really interesting. It's going to change, how the market operates. 1 in 6 Americans now, like she said, has a smart speaker. This is up 128% since January 2017. So in 2 years, we're seeing just exponential growth. It's, again, continuing to increase. So, we want to think about how that affects us as marketers and how we're getting in front of these people. And then one of the things Kenzie mentioned, too, is that the market is changing rapidly. She mentioned the main players, but there are expected to be more speakers coming onto the market this year. Specifically, there are over 8 speaker options currently, and that's only going to grow.
Yeah, that's incredible. So smart devices, they use different sites that we use all the time. We might not think, where is this data coming from, or the information that they feed back to us coming from, or how does this affect our business, and how can we apply it? But they're actually using the same search engines that you probably advertise on, like Bing and Google. They're pulling from actually organic rankings. So it's not going to pull in your search ads, but think SEO. So if I'm asking Alexa or Google a question, it's pulling from SEO or organic ranked results. And then 44% of people use a voice assistant after using it on other devices. So I know personally, I never use Siri. I've had my phone since it came out. But now, after using Alexa and Google at home, I've gotten used to searching with my voice. And so I've actually started to use Siri a little bit. And I guess I'm not alone. 44% of people are doing that now, which is pretty incredible. But how does this really impact your company? How can you put this into play? So you can optimize for searches like near me. So a lot of people use this with OK Google or Siri. They might say, give me a coffee shop near me or closest shoe store near me. Location extension, think click to map. There's also the other example here that is a desktop example with the location. And mobile ads. So we talk a lot about mobile, the importance of mobile. That's just going to increase as people use voice search.
Yeah, I would kind of add on to that, and building off your other slide about using mobile more, and I certainly find myself doing it more. But a lot of times I think that, you ask Alexa something and she responds in voice. But now when you're asking your mobile device something, it's responding in a mobile search and coming back. So that's why it's kind of connecting the dots when you go to mobile. Now optimizing for your near me, doing those site extensions is even more critical as voice search translates to mobile, not just a voice coming back to me, but actually real text and what I see on my screen.
Absolutely. So how can you put this into play? Maria, take us through some points or some recommendations you have.
Yeah, so there's a few main things that we want to discuss on how you can get started. As Bob says, it's not just talking to a speaker, you're also using your mobile device. So this will impact your paid search as well. So one great place to start where you already have a wealth of information is examine your search query report. Use that as a starting point because if you are looking at the information that you have already available, you can use that to build out your keywords that are appropriate. People are making these searches more conversational language, so it's not necessarily how they would have searched in the past. We want to take that into consideration when you're building out your campaigns. You also want to think about building long tail keywords. Again, you can use your search query report as a springboard to do this. That is a great place to just get these ideas as far as what you've seen people using to search previously and just building off of that. And as we talked about, capitalize on SEO. You definitely want to think about the organic results that are coming up that you're seeing. So you want to think about what your SEO strategy looks like and how you can improve that to accommodate these different kind of searches that we're seeing coming through, like we said, the voice speaker or your mobile device.
Absolutely. Yes. Speech. Absolutely. So that is really when we're looking at voice speakers, or speakers in general and home speakers. Our next trend is CTV or connected TV. And this trend, I know I was cut quarter years ago. I think even back in college, I stopped watching cable and just watched streaming services. That was more financially driven then. And now it's just the ease of having that smart TV at home. Maria, do you find yourself, are you a cord cutter? Or cord cutter?
We're kind of on the fence, and I know we were talking with Bob. He's kind of in the same position. We have not totally cut the cord, and a lot of that has to do with bundling of internet and cable. We are, I would say, within a couple months of doing so, though. Our big thing was making sure we had our live sports, going back to that Buckeye fact. If we don't have college football in our house, nobody's happy. So we need to make sure, we want to make sure that's available. Some other examples, I think, with my house, I have small children. They're already learning, and this kind of goes with the voice search as well. They're already learning these smart remotes and how to use them, and how to utilize, how to make those requests. Specifically, I saw my daughter, she's only 18 months old, holding the remote up yesterday saying Mickey Mouse. She wants to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse in the morning. So it's just amazing how quickly they've kind of learned this. The other thing I was telling these guys when we were doing, prepping for this, is that when my daughter sees the Amazon logo for the streaming service come on the TV, she automatically thinks we're putting Moana on. And she starts dancing and screaming and getting really excited.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, well, so, it's become part of our lives now. It's just become a normal thing.
Yeah, kids are definitely conditioned, and so the future generations will be engaging a lot with it. So coming to a screen near you, we see that viewership, or CTV viewership, is going to reach 190 million viewers this year, which is incredible. And cord cutters are expected to exceed 39 million. So that is quite a few people who are either exclusively watching CTV, or, like Maria said, her and Bob are both dual households. They have cable as well as watch stream services. So where can you get in front of people? Broadcast no longer has that large reach that it once did, but CTV is growing. So stay tuned for that for sure. The great thing is we see ad spending is increasing as well as the market shifts. So there's opportunity there for businesses to get in front of these people who have cut the cord. We haven't lost them completely.
This chart I loved quite a while ago, maybe about a year ago, I said. I had the pleasure of seeing Seth Godin speak, and he talked about up and to the right. Every marketer's dream is seeing a chart that goes up and to the right. Well, here, eMarketer, who we're actually going to be referencing a lot because we just think it's a great third-party
resource.
Yeah, thank you. Research company. But you can see in the red line, back in August of 2017, they are drawing up and to the right. And then within 7 months, in August of 2018, in March, pardon me, they increased it by $5 billion, their projection in 2021. So a tremendous increase just within 7 months of what they were predicting this growth, and hence why we're talking about it. And what we see is this huge opportunity.
Absolutely. And so this is another eMarketer graph. We just kind of rebranded here, but if I look at the time spent, so how much time are TV viewers watching digital TV or digital video versus how many advertisements are there? How many dollars are being spent to get in front of those people? There's a delta there, which means there's opportunities for advertisers to get in front of people who are watching digital video. We have a colleague who actually lives out in San Francisco, and he was watching, I can't say the specific names, but a major basketball game on a major network, and he was streaming it on his connected TV. There are ads available, and it was very interesting because there was an empty ad spot where it was literally just blank. That would have been a huge opportunity for an advertiser to get in front of millions of viewers right then and there on a major, network, on a major sporting event. But there's just not enough advertisers yet that have moved over to connected TV. So huge opportunity for everybody here.
Absolutely. And then when you start thinking about connected TV and regular TV, the value proposition on some levels sounds the same. I got sight, I've got sound, and I've got in motion, all creating emotion. So connected TV does the same thing. It allows you to connect to an audience on that level. Also, it allows you to tell the story, and you can do it in different increments. Nowadays, short ads are very popular to help bolster a brand. 6-second ads, 15-second ads. 30 and 1 minute are certainly still popular and allow you to tell a longer story. So a lot of times we view this as top of the funnel, build your brand, but it does trickle down. And the thing too about it is that it allows you to align your digital strategies. So now as you're running your Facebook, your Google, RTB display ads, you can start integrating these more, doing retargeting across the platforms, whether you start on connected and retarget on another like Facebook, or start on display and retarget with connected TV. It's all available. And then I'm going to be talking about the metrics that will blow you out the water. But putting kind of the things together that make it accessible, why we're bullish on it, and is one, the big differentiator from traditional TV is defining your audience and targeting those people. Big difference is you're not buying on Nielsen rating points and that kind of thing, and spray and pray that your ad on whatever it might be, Survivor, Big Bang Theory, whatever show, that you're praying that your audience is sitting on that, watching there. Here, you're going to put your ad right in front of a person that likes red shoes, is a runner, and that is your ideal target market with intent. Then we get into creative. A lot of people say, oh, I can't do connected TV. It's got to be cost prohibitive, but it's not. It can be in the hundreds of dollars rather than, a good TV ad might cost $10,000 or $15,000. So we're talking about something that's super attainable for you. It's easy to create.
Yeah, and there's actually, Google has a free producer app through YouTube. So they've actually created this really great tool you can use to create free advertisements through video. You can even add your logo, do a text overlay in the bottom, and they look very authentic. So you actually just use your smartphone camera and create ads using YouTube's free producer app. So there's some cool tools out there that you can leverage today.
Absolutely. And the expectations of the consumers watching these aren't quite as high. So having these montage, a YouTube video can be equally as effective as any $15,000 production. And so measuring success, this is where it's just amazing. I mean, we're not talking about impressions and vanity metrics. We're talking about completion rate. How many people watch that video all the way through? And if you're working with a good vendor like us, shameless plug, you're paying for completed rates. And we also have cross-device attribution, so we can understand usage and targeting on whether we want to go on mobile, tablet, the biggest screen in the house, the connected TV. Are they viewing it on a different device? So we can start to understand that. So the metrics there are incredible and tie with align to your marketing that I already talked about. So this is within reach, very affordable, great program to consider.
Absolutely. Our next trend for 2019 is chatbots. And as Maria mentioned, when we first looked at this as a trend coming up, we kind of thought chatbots have been around forever. Why is this a new trend? But the AI has improved so much that it's kind of incredible. I was actually listening to NPR the other day, and they had a very interesting story about a gentleman who's a developer. He lived in California, and he decided, I'm going to start online dating. And so he got on an online dating site, and he starts a relationship with a woman on there. And after a couple months of chatting and really getting to know each other, he decided it was time for them to meet in person. So he invited her out to California to meet in person, and she kept avoiding the question. She would start talking about something else, engage him in a different conversation. And after a while, he realized he had been dating a chatbot. That is how good the AI has become at really understanding what somebody is asking for, what they want to have in return, how to answer questions, things like that. So kind of a funny story, but it really does speak to how far the AI has come with chatbots. So
I'm just glad that wasn't me.
I know, I was thinking the same thing. And this guy was a developer, right? So he knows how technology works.
I don't want to be that statistic.
No, but Maria, you did a ton of research on this. Can you tell us a little bit about what your findings were on what we can expect in 2019?
Yeah, absolutely. And like Kenzie said before, I was really surprised that this continued to come up. I was doing a lot of research and a lot of reading and trying to identify, what we think is attainable by advertisers and what's really emerging, and it just kept coming up. So I wanted to figure out what was changed. As you mentioned, the AI, it's getting harder and harder to tell if it's a real person. It's becoming more conversational. The capabilities have improved so much that they're able to learn, your dating story was great, is that, that chatbot's able to learn more about the person they're interacting with and able to tailor their next response just based on information they've learned. And it's not only applying to the person they're interacting with at the time, but also, you know, anyone in the future. They've already have all this data collected so that they can better help others in the future. Increased usability, we're seeing a lot of other businesses put this into place. 80% of businesses are planning to use a chatbot by 2020. I think that's huge. We're seeing a lot of focus on this, and it's just kind of a shift in customer service. You know, and I think it's not just that, it's also the market. We're seeing people are more inclined to interact with these chatbots. 63% of people would consider using a chatbot. Again, I think it goes back to just kind of the time we're in. People want answers yesterday. They want information as quick as possible. Sometimes it's in the middle of the night or whatever that may be, so they're able to get what they need when they need that. And I guess one of the other kind of big figures that we noticed was it's expected to cut business costs by $8 billion by 2020. You know, there's a lot of different ways, and we'll kind of touch on that a little bit in the next slide, but it's really interesting on, you know, it's not just that customer service portion. There's a lot of other opportunities to use it internally in your business to, you know, kind of cut funding and also cut some personnel costs.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know I have used chatbots in the past, but how are some people using it now?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I think we've all kind of used chatbots. You know, customer service is the big thing, and the good thing as a business, you're able to capture that lead information. You know, I recently had an Amazon order that somehow disappeared on the delivery route. Not sure what happened, but they have all the information about me now. They have that I interacted with them, and you're able to do that as far as, you know, when you're chatting with someone. The first thing I did was go on their chat and, you know, get some answers, and it got resolved really quickly. It enables you to offload some of those easy questions. For my example is one, you know, it was not super intense question. It was just, I needed to know what happened, and I needed a refund or my product. Your chatbot's able to take those questions and able to get people answers quickly, which again, we were talking about the personnel issue and cutting costs. You know, it's able to take the place of an additional person in your office. Makes me nervous for us, but it's really interesting because, you know, it really does provide another service. Some of the things I found, you know, that it was able to alleviate maybe some of your IT tech questions, your CRM questions. One specific example I found that I found really interesting, the technology is not quite there, but it's getting very close, is that they are trying to get this to be HIPAA compliant so that they are able to stay in communication with patients between visits. I don't know about you, but I don't think anyone gets excited to go sit in a doctor's office and, you know, all the time that you spend getting there and waiting and all those things. Some people put off health concerns because they don't want to make that trip. This chatbot is able to keep in touch with people between visits and, you know, help them continue their health care and getting answers that they need.
Absolutely.
And Maria, you touched on so much of the increasing the customer service. There's also, I read this a while ago, I kind of forgot about it, but there's a halo effect of having a chatbot on your site. So even those people that don't necessarily engage, when they see it, they've said that, you know, that gives me more confidence in this business. It shows that they care. So there's this, you know, marketing halo effect that this is a business that's trying to help me out more, that wants to do customer service. So there's also that benefit for customers that don't necessarily engage.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's an incremental increase, which I think is interesting. You know, we see, or we might think that I have a form fill on my website, that's enough. People have the ability to engage with me without having to pick up the phone. But what we find is that requires people to take the initiative, whereas a chatbot is actually engaging them and inviting them to engage. So we see an incremental increase in conversions on a website when a chatbot is there. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. And as Maria said, it is completely obtainable. So you can create a script today. So you know, simple Q&As, answer questions that your team has to answer all the time. How could a chatbot help alleviate some of those? Easily integrated, it's really plug and play. So it's a little piece of code that sits on your website. There's a ton of different providers out there. It's not going to require you to have major website development work done in order to apply it to your business today. And then the lead information is captured. So That's fantastic because it's all in a transcript, which is really easily submitted or given to your sales team to then follow up on.
Right. And just to go back to that plug and play part, when you're talking about the ease of it, there's also, I don't want to skip over, there's also different types of it. We talk about the one that's on the bottom right for most businesses, but there's also the ability to have an exit chat. So if someone's scrolling up, and you may have had this before, and you're going to hit that X button, boom, up comes that chat before someone exits. Like, can we answer? Did we not answer something? Can we answer it now? There's also text to chat, which is now really cool. You can put it on your site, but also Google puts it on their extensions. It's an ad extension now, so it gives you a little bonus points there. And when it shows up, someone has a chance to use their native text, and then this bot is doing the work for you. So again, no staff. And also, one more, got to throw in more, never-ending story. This is a pay-per-play model. So you only pay when someone engages with it. So it's sitting on your site. You have all the benefits. If someone engages 5 times or 500, you're only paying for those engagements. And it's very affordable, those engagements, as well as the setup is in the hundreds of dollars, not thousands. So again, we're bringing you things that are very attainable, easy to implement, and can help you out.
Yeah. And as a user, see how you see chatbots transform over the next year, and you can start using it more.
Absolutely.
I think I probably will. I definitely will.
There we do.
One upper.
Yeah.
So our next trend of 2019 is native advertising. We like to call it the chameleon of advertising because it really blends in with whatever the content is on a web page. The ad blends in, which is fantastic. I know that as a new mom, I'm constantly researching the best or safest products for my baby, and I engage with a lot of native advertising because it's typically highly educational. It's an article maybe that I'm reading deeper about a product versus just looking at it on a website. I can see what other people think. I can look and research different stats, things of that nature. Or I might be on a mommy blog or mommy website and see, looking at different products, and then a native ad appears, but it looks just like everything else I'm looking at, so it's very intriguing to me, and I think it is for a lot of others. So there's really 2 different types of native, and the traditional native most people think about is this true native, and this is really where there's an article, and everything stays within a publisher's website. So if we take this example of Time Magazine, let's say that there's an ad on their homepage, it drives to an article, that article is on Time's website as well, and everything is staying within that publisher's website. Whereas display native, or sometimes known as click-out native, is where there's an advertisement on a publisher's website, but when you click on it, instead of staying within the publisher's website, it actually takes you to the advertiser's website. And we have a couple examples of that on the next slide as well. But Bob, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, native's been around for a while, and you read all these trending and the people's predictions that it's going to be popular now. I think some of the slow adoption has just been that us marketers, those shame on these people, have made it confusing. And when you start thinking, or complex, you start thinking about, I got to create an article. I've got to curate this. I've got to edit it. Oh man, I just need to concentrate on my display, my Google, get all that stuff. Then I might even consider native. But the beauty about this native display is that it clicks into your site. So we're going to talk about landing pages and where you're going to send traffic, but it's much easier to implement. You get the benefits of having an ad that fits the format of a publisher, but also the benefit of not having that extra work. So we think of this as kind of the baby step, the toe in the water for native that has all the benefits without all the work.
And it's not as cost prohibitive either, which I think is great. So here's some examples of that display native on the right-hand side. There's a great recipe, and it looks just like the other articles on this native publisher's website. So that's really what we're talking about today. This is the spend is really expected to exceed $41 billion in 2019, which means other marketers think it's valuable. Other marketers are investing in native. It works. I know we actually use it for our own taxi. So we advertise ourselves using native because we see it working. while 70% of consumers prefer to learn about products through native. So it's kind of that win-win, right? So it works really, really well for the advertisers, but it also is benefiting their consumers or their potential customers. And mobile, it's mobile heavy as we all are. It works really, really well with a mobile device because it is dynamic to change with the screen size. So that's fantastic. Maria, I know you had a couple points you wanted to share on native display as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of going to your point about, consumers prefer to learn about products through content. Think about probably yourself. We've all done some sort of project at home, DIY, home improvement, thinking that it's a little easier than it might be. I know personally I'm looking online for instructions, trying to figure out how to get this done, try to save a little money. Sometimes that doesn't necessarily happen. But we all are kind of guilty of that. And it's a great way to kind of subtly nudge your audience with products that are complementary to what they're looking up. So if they're looking up this project, there are products that are comparable or that might be helpful for that project, and then you're kind of giving them that subtle help without being so overtly in their face. I think another thing we've kind of touched on too is it's making it more personalized. With the content, they feel like, oh, look, this is, how convenient. This is exactly what I need to do this project. So the audience really feels like you're speaking to them. And 70% of, like we said, those consumers are looking for that kind of thing. They really want to feel like you're helping them. So
absolutely. Which this really shows that you don't want to be annoying or intrusive. We really want to be appealing and interesting with your advertising, and native fits the bill for that. So it is the most natural and appealing advertisement that we see online. And so 20 to 60% higher engagement than traditional banners, which I'm not surprised. As Maria mentioned, it's adding a benefit to the user who is viewing that ad. They also register 18% lift in intent and 9% lift for brand affinity. So they're a little bit further down that marketing funnel or path to purchase, however you want to look at it, than others. So this ecosystem has really changed quite a bit, and it's obtainable today. So how you can do that, it's very easy. The one thing I love about native display is you don't have to have a graphic designer put together an ad for you. You actually can just provide an image, the copy that you want to use, and your logo, and that is uploaded into the DSP or whatever platform you use to run native display or something that we help with. And the nice thing with that is it will be automatically formatted to hundreds of sites, thousands of sites and platforms, etc. So it's dynamic, and when it goes into one of these sites, it's changing the size of the image, it's placing the logo, it's placing that copy or that text appropriate to what that website looks like, so it looks the same as all the other content on that publisher site. As with everything else digital that we love, it is targeted. So it's targeted to the right audience. So as opposed to that spray and pray, just like everything else on digital, you can target by geography, you can target by behavior, intent, things like that. So you're really focusing your dollars on the right audience instead of paying to be in front of everybody. So we love native. Definitely recommend giving it a try for your business in 2019. Another big one, and Bob is going to make fun of me. I am a millennial. I'm not ashamed to say it, but I do personalization. I expect things to be personalized to me.
Yeah, you wear the badge proud.
Yes, I do. I want that company to say, I know who you are, here's what you want, or here's what you ordered last time. I fully expect that experience, and I'm okay if they have some of my data, which we're seeing as a common trend. So Bob wants to take, he jokes that this is a picture, of me. It's not, but
it's close.
Yeah, she is blonde. Let's do that.
Yeah. Look, Mom, it's all about me. So as Kenzie talked about, there's a perception out there of narcissism. I'm going to take a picture on Facebook and show you what I ate today, that I woke up today. This is me getting out of bed, all this fun thing. And so there's, I think, some reality, but this narcissistic society. But when we start talking about marketing, I view, is it really narcissism, or is it now that we actually have the capability to do it? We're not putting stuff out on a billboard anymore. Well, you still can, but better than a billboard, better than a radio, better than spray and pray on TV or any other of those traditional marketing vehicles. The capability nowadays with digital advertising is just extraordinary. The technology is amazing. And having the consumer insights of that individual likes red shoes, that individual likes blue shoes, all of that's there. And so society like Kenzie, even myself, I like it when I walk into a bar and the bartender knows my drink.
See?
So then, you know, are we trying to meet expectations when really the capability nowadays can exceed expectations?
Yeah.
And again, we're bringing all this within reach. We wouldn't be talking about it otherwise. All that fun stuff.
Absolutely. And I think the one distinction that's interesting to make is personalization and targeting. We've been able to target people for a long time, so target people who are interested in shoes, but then that personalization comes into play when you look at those are the exact shoes I looked at on the website. So it's like a distinction, but they're definitely two prongs of the personalization area.
Most definitely. So this one, again, we're going to reference eMarketer. We love them. Here's where executive decision makers, they all agree that personalization is very important. And when you look at some of these metrics and between customer satisfaction, customer retention, sales revenues, new customers, let me just keep on rambling and rambling. But all of the ones are in number 1 and number 2. All these decision makers are agreeing that this is critically important or very important. However, there's a disconnect. It can be very challenging to implement this. You know, a lot of people just don't have the resources, time to do it. There's a challenge around the cost. And also just the knowledge. I don't even know how to do this. I don't even know how to begin. And especially when you start thinking about what people have for their perception of it.
Yeah, and this kind of is like CTV in the sense that, you know, the opportunity is out there, but if there's a gap, that means there's an opportunity for business owners. So there's people expect it, but not a lot of business owners are taking advantage of it yet, which means there's a huge opportunity to get in while the market is ripe for this type of technology and leverage it for your business before it's just the status quo.
Right. And that perception of the challenge of personalization, I think is fueled by some of the leaders out there. Amazon, once I've gone in and I've watched a few things, ordered a couple books, they're making solid recommendations. I hate to say it, they know me better than I know myself. Netflix, the same thing, and even the Ritz-Carlton. You know, once you come in there, they know that you like it at the temperature at 69 degrees. You're going to have your Manhattan with 2 shakes of bitters, not 1. So personalization is everywhere. And when you can elevate that and going back to those digital capabilities, you're going to win.
Absolutely. And we kind of look at this in the nurture area. So talking again about that, where is that targeting versus what is personalization? And so targeting at the highest level of that funnel is really targeting the right audience to, you know, introduce your brand. But personalization, we look at when you're nurturing. So you're nurturing those people, driving that trust and consideration before they'll ultimately convert. And so nurturing them through personalized ads, as if I was looking at specific products or services on your website, now insert ads of those specific products and services that you can provide, as opposed to just a general generic ad. That is the step to becoming personalized and giving a personalized experience to your audience. Also, it's easier than you think. Here's 3 really quick, easy steps that you can take today to not, again, we're trying to produce or give you options that you don't have to go to a developer and make huge changes to your website or anything. So 1, landing pages. Give me what I was looking at. So this is a very big thing with Google AdWords, and you've probably heard it, but if I'm searching for red shoes, land me on the website or on your page of your site that has red shoes. Same thing with services. If you're a service-based company, maybe you do roofing or siding. And so if I'm looking up roofing or you have a roofing ad for me, pop me on that landing page that talks about roofing or scheduling a consultation. Don't pop me on the home page and make me go look for it. So that's a very simple thing that you can do today. Make sure that you have separate landing pages for your different ad sets, as well as your different products and services that you offer. Retargeting and further dynamic, so we'll get into that in a second, but simple retargeting is just making sure that you're staying in front of somebody once they've told you they're interested. I've come to your site, stay in front of me with an ad. You can make that even better by using dynamic ads. And so we'll get into a couple of those a little bit deeper in the subsequent slides.
Awesome. Well, I think you kind of explained landing pages pretty well. But I'll quote another person with a rep here. I'm not going to give names, but gentleman I admire here. He always calls it fulfilling the promise. So when you're running that ad for the blue shoes, a couch, or whatever it might be, fulfill the promise. So when the ad comes, when a consumer clicks on the ad, you fulfill the promise and show a landing page that is directly related to that ad. And what is shown and is proven is that you're going to increase conversion, you're going to lower your cost per click, and here's what I call the super bonus. Is that Google, even when they're saying, when you're setting up your ads and you're saying where that thing's going to land or where that ad's going to land, not the thing, but it says you're landing in a great place. We're going to bonus you with a higher quality score. So it not only affects how your consumer is, but on the back end, it's going to increase your quality score. So now, further down the road, it just kind of has that trickle-up effect of continuing to help you and get you better placement, et cetera.
Absolutely. And with retargeting, we mentioned this, it's this creepy picture, right? Something's following me around. But we know that people are more likely, 70% more likely to convert if they're retargeted, because you're staying in front of them. We see so many ads on a daily basis. You really have to stay in front of those people to remind them to come back to your site. And 3 out of 5 online viewers notice ads that show products they viewed from another page. So I'm definitely more likely to notice an ad if it has that product that I wanted than just a generic ad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, coming to your point, I am an extremely indecisive shopper. I do not make quick decisions. But when I see, I just bought a new pair of running shoes, and when you are seeing those shoes, you're like, I don't know if I want to spend the money, but you keep seeing it, you are able to convince yourself that you need to make that purchase.
Yes.
Have you ever made it?
Absolutely.
Well, talk about indecision. Kinsey can't even decide on Google or Alexa.
Yeah, that's my husband.
But it does. It's powerful because it affects us all. You keep seeing this, you're like, well, maybe I'm supposed to have this.
Yeah.
You're in continuing to see that message. It really resonates with people. One thing we see too is that I came from the ops side previously, and a lot of maybe our best practice that not everyone follows is they don't always with their other providers, they're not always giving a different retargeting creative based on where the user was on their site. They have one retargeting creative. They're using this for everything. It's definitely not helping you, because you're going to direct people, like you were saying, Kenzie, back to the home page, and then they're going to have to search around. And if that's me, I'm probably going to go elsewhere, because that's not what I want. I want it quick. I want it now.
Yeah.
Go to that me thing.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Kenzie.
That's okay. You get to make fun.
But it's so true. If you're able to track the last page that the user was on, or where they happened to click on your site, and you're retargeting them, like you mentioned, with those dynamic ads, which I know we're going to get into next, it really has more impact, because they're noticing that, hey, this is specifically what I was looking for, rather than just following them around with that generic ad with your company logo.
Yeah, and dynamic ads can be very obtainable. So if you have a product feed on your website, how it basically works is it's pulling from that product feed. So it says, this person looked at this product on your site, and it can actually pull the last 5 products that somebody looked at. So they looked at these last couple products on your site, and let's create an ad. Let's put this product in the ad and serve it to them specifically. So Maria, myself, and Bob would all get different ads based on the inventory that we look at on the website. So that's personalized messaging. The great thing about dynamic ads and using an inventory feed to create these, they are actually served across platforms. So you can use these dynamic resources to serve ads on Facebook, to serve ads on Google, to serve ads through display or the RTV network, things like that. So they're really personalized, right? So that's the key to this whole bit. It's about me. It's about me, Bob.
So anyway,
kind of putting the dots together on the three things that we kind of talked about on how kind of like that step in the right direction for personalization, starting with landing pages. Make sure you fulfill the promise. We didn't get into it, but also landing pages can help you convert on the metrics that matter to you. Maybe you want some newsletter sign-ups. Maybe you want people to download some information. Kind of in this example, you see this little kind of box for people to submit information. Those are landing pages that are more designed for conversions. Actually, another great practice to do. We didn't delve into that. Retargeting, those creepy ads. Why do we talk about them? Because they work. We didn't even talk about view-through metrics because nobody clicks on these things. They're actually 8%. But we also measure when the ad is shown, but we see view-through impressions so that when someone sees that ad, we know that they came into your site. We know they converted, and we can start to see real metrics and why these ads are so powerful. And dynamic ads, as Kinsey mentioned, the inventory feed. If you have this is more designed for e-commerce, but if you already have an Excel spreadsheet, you're already doing some kind of product inventory, it's easy to integrate into these. So again, all the stuff we're presenting is within reach and making it attainable for you.
Absolutely. So trends we covered. Again, we will be digging deeper into these through our 2019 year and our webinar series of Buzzword Breakdown. So voice search, connected TV, chatbots, native advertising, and personalization. I hope to hear from all of you and see how you guys apply these to your businesses. And please get in touch with us or follow our different events. You can go to adtaxi.com, look at the events tab. We actually sponsor quite a few different events in person across the country, as well as 2 webinars a month that you can engage with us. You can also get in touch with us at info@adtaxi.com. And we will be sending this recording out after the webinar. So thank you so much for joining us. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your mom. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you.